coin flip the Titans have is we all know that they have two massive needs on the roster, both on the offense, whether it's offensive linemen or whether it is the wide receiver group. But what's the better combination for the Tennessee Titans with their first and second pick? Do you go wide receiver round 1 and then offensive lineman round 2? Or do you flip it and go O-line round 1 and wide receiver round 2? So, Sam, I'll send you to the comments. My official answer to this is Joe Alt is the only offensive lineman I would take at 7. And so I think my best combination would be for the Titans to go wide receiver at 7 and offensive line at 38. That is what I believe is the best combination the Titans can do, because I don't necessarily think Joe Alt's going to be there anymore.
Yeah, so I would actually probably agree that Joe Alt is not going to be there anymore. And I have been very firm on my stance that even if he is there, I think the Titans need to take a wide receiver at 7. Even if Joe Alt is there, I would take a wide receiver at 7, because you may be picking from wide receiver 2 over Joe Alt. And if you have your choice of a Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors, I would take that option over Joe Alt. And so a lot of people talk about the depth of the offensive line and the depth of wide receiver, but specifically look at the depth of this wide receiver room. And the chat was all on it, right? Saying, oh, take Xavier Worthy in the second round. I think a lot of these guys that I would be pumped about falling to the Titans in round 2, I just have a hard time seeing get there. I think more receivers are going to go in round 1 than most people think here. I think for sure you're looking at that first 4 coming off the board there in Harrison through Thomas. Xavier Worthy's going to go in the first round. That is what I have heard from a couple different people, that teams have him on their board and are prepared to pick him in the first round if he falls to them. So I do not expect him to get out of the first. I think you could also see Keon Coleman and Troy Franklin go at the back end of the first round. And I think we learn this every year. Guys sneak into the back end of the first round as wide receivers more often than they do any other position other than maybe like quarterback, because that fifth-year option that you can get by taking that guy in the first it is valuable. And so I think you're going to see a good number of wide receivers off the board by the time the Titans pick at 38. I think there is so much talent on this offensive line, at least so much raw talent that you could potentially trust Bill Callahan with developing. And I think the biggest thing for me, Austin, is the drop-off between the elite tier to the second tier, I think is more drastic for receivers than it is for offensive line. I believe there is a top 3 in this receiving core. And quite frankly, I look at Odunze, Neighbors, and Harrison, and every draft, right, when you talk about quarterbacks, right, you look at the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft, you kind of have to have this philosophy of, well, one of these guys is going to be bad. At least one isn't going to work out, right? Maybe 2, maybe 3. Like, there's a good chance, so you can't be all in on everybody because you know somebody's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens at wide receiver. Sometimes it doesn't happen. And I just have a really hard time not buying into Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and Marvin Harrison Jr. all being really good receivers at the next level. I think they're all going to hit. I think they're all game-changing players and players that you want in your offense. And so
You know what it is? It's
sure.
It's Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and Devonta Smith.
Right.
It's those 3 guys. All of them were studs coming out, and all of them are studs in the NFL.
Yeah, and so that is a group that I feel really good about all of them. People ask me, do you want Neighbors or Rome? And I'm like, I go Neighbors by like a hair, and I'm not upset if it's Rome Odunze at all. Like, I think I'm happy with either one. And I think the difference between getting a Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, and getting a Lad McConkey, who could be a very good, fine wide receiver in the league, I don't think he's the difference maker those 2 guys are. I think that's a huge drop-off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's the same thing if you're talking Olufashanu or Fashanu. Got to start learning how to say it correctly. If it's Olufashanu or whoever it is at 7, even a Joe Alt, that drop off to that second tier of tackles, I'm not sure it's as cut and dry as it is at wide receiver.
All right, so I mentioned Malachi comes in and says the Corey Davis draft. All three of those receivers turned out to not be very good.
Yeah.
Corey Davis, Mike Williams, the best of the three, and the only one still playing in the NFL. And then John Ross ran very quickly and was quickly out of the league after his combine there too. So I think, and I said something earlier in the show, and I want to go deeper into it, that Joe Alt is the only offensive lineman that I would take at 7th overall. So I want to go deeper into that because I find the offensive line transition and something I heard from an NFL insider this morning that made me go, that's interesting. I want to ask Sam what he thinks about that.